Well, we got another free bike here. This was kind of an interesting find. I found this picking up another bike that I was interested in. I saw this one in the seller's garage, kind of half torn apart in the corner. I asked the seller about it, and he said that he's owned this for the past 15 years. He's never gotten it to run. He's always wanted to. And I guess a couple years ago, he actually took it into the local mechanic for an estimate to get this running and driving. And the local mechanic quoted him at $1,500 to go through it, get it running and driving right. So he said that was way too much. He didn't have the money for that. And so he parked it for another couple years. And then just recently he said he tore apart the carbs. But he said he messed something up and didn't do it correctly. And that's kind of where he gave up and decided to part ways with it. He said his dream was to get this running and driving. But yeah, it just wasn't feasible is what he said. So I got this as a package deal. The seller told me I could have this bike for free if I bought the other bike for full price. So technically, I got this one for free, I guess you could say. So today, we are going to kind of go through this bike and see if we can get it running and driving. That is the goal. So this is a 1966 Yamaha YL1. It's a 100cc two-stroke twin. So kind of a weird model being a twin. You never really see these around. And these were supposed to hit around 60 miles an hour. Being only a 4-speed, that's pretty quick. It looks like the seller put new tires on it. So it does have brand new tires. The chrome doesn't look half bad. And it's mostly complete. Besides, I think a few pieces for the carb. But this one does have the oil injection unit on there as well. You can see the oil tank is behind here. It goes down to the oil pump down here. But there's, let's see how many miles on it. 7,729 miles, which is pretty high for this little bike. Seat cover looks pretty good. Tank is really rusty. Looks like maybe it was leaned up against the shed for quite a while. Missing the battery and the panel for it there. Does have the pipe on this side as well. So overall, not too bad. It does have the tail light and the headlight on there as well. So yeah, it looks like it has all the parts to get this one hopefully running and driving by the end of the video. So let's get this thing off the trailer and start digging into it. Alright, a little walk around the bike here. So you can see the rubbers from the carb are all cracked. Rough shape. Carbs are in really rough shape. Here's one of the slides. And the seller said there's something up here for the carburetor as well. So hopefully no parts are missing. It's got a horn. I believe this one has electric start, possibly. Brake does work. Both brakes work. Still has little flaps for the fender on there. But yeah, this side is really rusty. So I'm thinking it was leaning on a barn or something at one point. You can see the difference in rust on the tank. Rims are all rusty. So looks like it's had a rough life. Alright, let's see if we can fix this thing up for less than 1,500 bucks. I'm guessing we probably can. But we'll see. We're going to start with checking the oil. And we're going to add up the total cost at the end of the video to see what we have in it. And we'll add my time in there as well. Alright, let's take a peek. I have a feeling that's really black. Oh, doesn't look bad at all. It's actually really clear. So I'm guessing, you know, the seller probably changed the oil at one point. Tried to get this thing to run and drive, just couldn't do it. It was maybe just too far past his comfort point to dig into it. And like he said, he dug into the carbs thought you messed something up and just kind of gave up. So this one actually had oil injection, which is pretty nice for 1966. So underneath this cover, there should be a tank. Oh, look at that. And then on the sticker here it says important factory recommendation, use 2-cycle oil. Doesn't say what kind, but that's all it says. So the tank looks pretty much brand new. Look at that. Alright. Still has a rubber strap on there. Let's get the cap off and see what kind of 2-stroke oil's in it. Usually the older stuff is green, so if it's green, it's probably really old. Ooh, there's still a little rubber piece on there. Ooh. Alright, let's see what color the oil is. That's that green. So yeah, it's old. It's definitely old. But there's a ton of oil in there, so we can just leave that for now. Alright, this gas tank has to be complete rust. I don't think I've ever seen a gas tank like this on a little Yamaha that's not complete rust. Let's see. Oh, it's not too bad, but I've definitely seen worse. At least you can see some of the metal on the gas tank. Yeah, she's definitely rusty, but we can work with that. As long as this gas tank doesn't leak, we should be fine. Alright, let's try to get these gas lines off. Wow, those are hardened up completely. Alright. Let's see if these soften up a bit. Those are really hard on there. Wow. Wow, is that on there? There we go. Alright, one off. Let's see if this one will pull off here. New. Oh man. There we go. There's obviously no gas going to it at all. Yeah, this thing hasn't ran in a long time. Let's see. Petcock is crunchy. There we go. Alright, so hopefully that works. Alright, gas lines are off. Absolutely zero gas in the tank. Alright, so this is where the battery box is. I'm guessing a battery went right in here. And there's supposed to be a strap coming from here to somewhere else. We've got the negative going right to ground. We've got the positive here going to here and here. This part, I'm guessing, should go to here, right? Not seeing any other part it could go to. So we'll have to connect that to there. This looks like it's from the stator. Let's open that up. Ooh, a couple of these are pulled out. You can see the pin right here is completely, almost completely pulled out. We're going to push that back in. That one looks like it might be important. Let's see. Yeah, that's the green pin. Alright, so that was for ground. Let's see if we can get that back in without pulling it out. Okay. Alright, let's get the red wire hooked up. I'm guessing this goes to here. Alright, we'll put this one on there, this one on there. We'll see if that works. We've got blue and a brown down here as well. I'm guessing those are for the lights or something. For blinkers, I'm not sure. But those don't have anywhere to go. Not seeing any other wires. Hopefully, these aren't all chewed up down below from the mice. Oh boy. Here's a wire. That's another wire, brown and white. So a couple wires not going anywhere. Let's take off this piece here and see what's behind there. I think there's a screw here holding it on. I feel like we don't have all the wires connected here. Something's going on. Alright, that's coming out like that. Yeah, it looks like all the wires are connected in there, actually. Alright, so we're going to put that back and hope for the best. Seat looks pretty good. Alright, let's see what the gas tank looks like. Ooh, there's a lot of rust in there. Looks like a mouse got up by the gas tank here. We're looking for any pitting on the gas tank that went all the way through. Doesn't look like it, so it should hold gas. Just falling apart. Looks like there's a mouse nest in the frame right there. So hopefully all those wires aren't eaten. I'm guessing they probably are. Ooh, that's packed full. That's not good. That is not good at all. That's what I was worried about. Hopefully the wires are going to be intact here. We'll find out here soon enough. Alright, let's take a look at the plugs. This one was loose. Running a NGK BPR7HS plug. Ooh, looks like it was running alright. Nice and brown. Doesn't look half bad. Boot doesn't look horrible. We'll get that boot off and see if it's contacting any wire. Alright, take this boot off of here. Is it one that can screw off or not? Oh, maybe it's not. Thought it was, but maybe not. Oh yeah. No, I don't think it is one that can screw off, but I don't see any wire exposed there at all. Alright, so this is what it looks like inside. So this little sharp piece pokes up into the wire right here, like that, and contacts the wire. So we're going to put the wire in like that, all the way in, and we can actually screw this piece back in. There we go. One more twist. Alright, that's fixed. Now it's nice and tight on there with fresh wire exposed. We are going to take our camera, look down the cylinder, see what that looks like. Alright, turn this on. I'm curious to see what the cylinder looks like here. Hopefully it's salvageable. I'm gonna find out. Alright, let's take a peek. What's that on the piston there? There's definitely some carbon buildup, huh? There's like a little piece of something there on the piston. Not sure what that is. Those are tiny little pistons, aren't they? So right there in that corner. What is that thing? Almost looks like a wood chip. But no hole in the piston. That looks pretty good. Alright, so I didn't realize this camera had a side lens on it, so we can actually take a look at the cylinder by holding this button down 2 seconds. And we'll switch to the side view, which is pretty cool. So we can check out the cylinder wall. Look at that. No real deep scratches on the cylinder wall. That's good. That looks pretty darn good. Oops, that's kind of cool. That's the side view, and that's the up and down view. That's really cool. This camera has a lot of features. Ooh, what's that? I don't know what that is. With a little piece of metal. Besides that piece way over there. Right there. I'm a little worried about. Put a little oil in there for lubrication. I'm guessing this thing hasn't been lubricated in like 15 years, so definitely could use that. Alright, let's go to the other plug and see what that looks like. Cap still on it. Oh, that one was loose too. This one was running a bit richer. Actually, it looks like this plug was wet. Yeah, this plug definitely looked a lot wetter. It's like it was getting gas to it. The other one was really dry. But same plug, BPR7HS. I'm guessing this one is still intact. It's not a screw off one. So we're going to leave that for now. And we're going to take a look inside this cylinder. Oh, it's a carbon. That area doesn't look too good. Yeah, it definitely needs to be lubricated up here. Doesn't look awful. Put a bit of lubrication down there. Then we're going to kick this engine over and just get everything lubed up. Alright, let's kick it over a couple times. See what it sounds like. Feels pretty smooth. really smooth. Doesn't feel too bad. Before we kick it over too much, I believe there's an air filter we have to take out. Looks like it might be right there. There's gotta be one on the other side too, I'm guessing. Maybe not. Looks like there's a clamp right down here. It's coming. Oh boy. That's not good. Ooh. Nasty. That is really gross. So that's the air filter. Get all that vacuumed up. The mice were living good in there. That cap comes off. We can take a peek in there. Check it out. All the way up there. It's completely packed. That is really gross. All right. Air box we can take apart here. It's a little rusty. I wonder if that's just going to snap off. That's not budging at all. There we go. It's coming. Good old vice grips. Yep, good thing we took that apart. Look at that. Just packed in there. Guessing that's the original air filter. She's in rough shape. So we're gonna spend some time clean out this whole air box and get everything back together. All right, we're ready to turn this thing over and check for a spark. I was just about to turn the key on and attempt to check for a spark, but I couldn't find the key. And yeah, that leads me to the next point. We're missing the whole ignition switch. So right down here, remember those wires we saw earlier? The brown, the blue, and the other brown? Those are supposed to go to the ignition switch. So I don't know if the seller just took it out, or never had one, or the mice ate it and stole it. I'm not sure. But what is supposed to happen is the red wire here is supposed to send signal to the brown wire here, the solid brown, and that sends the voltage to the coils, and that allows the bike to spark. The blue is for the lights, so that would be the second switch. So when you turn the key to the second position, I believe it sends it to the blue, and then the lights work. So we're only really dealing with the brown and the blue and the red. So if we can put an alligator clip from the red to the brown, we should at least be able to get spark. Now I see why this thing was $1,500 to fix. A lot of issues with it. Okay, got our positive hooked up, got the negative hooked up. Nothing's lighting up on the dash yet. The red here. To the brown. See if anything lights up. Oh yeah. All right. So we're going from red to brown. Check that out. Neutral light came on. The C light came on. So now let's see what happens when we turn this thing over. Will we have spark? Also, we can check and see if the electric start works. Oh yeah. I cannot believe that's working. Look at that. What are the chances if the electric start works? Wow, that's crazy. So this thing did have blinkers on it at one point. All right, let's get the plugs back in. See if we get anything for spark. I really can't believe that electric start works. That makes me really happy. All right, let's see what we get. Nothing. Nothing at all. Is the kill switch on? See if the other plug is flaring. Nothing. Nothing on that plug. Let's see about that one. Nothing on that plug either. Nothing at all. All right, is there like a horn? Let's see if the horn works. Horn's working. Look at that. Cool. So electric start, horn works. Let's see if the lights work when we hook up the other wire to the blue. Let's see if the lights turned on. I'm not seeing anything. Is it smoking? Oh. That light turned on. There's the neutral. Is the tail light on? Nope. Huh. Alright, lights did not turn on. You must need them to have the bike running to work. I believe the points cover is right here. I know this is where the electric start is, so I'm guessing it's underneath this cover. We'll see. There it comes. Oh yeah, points are down in there. We need a flashlight to take a look. I think we'll get the shifter out of the way here. Alright, let's take a peek in there. So, it looks like we've got one set of points here. And they are completely gunked up. If you guys can see those. really bad. And then here's the other set right here. Completely gunked up. Look at all that gunk in there on those. So we're gonna spray those off first. A little bit of cleaner. I'm gonna take our file. File goes down a little bit. That one's looking pretty clean. That one is probably dirty. That one's really bad. Lots of gunk in there. All right, points are all cleaned off. Let's see if we have any spark now. Here we go. Oh, there's some spark. There we go. There we go. Oh, we just lost it. Huh. Nothing on the left-hand side. Oh, we're getting somewhere. I think the points are still a little bit dirty. All right, we spent a good half hour cleaning up the points. I think we probably need some new points, but we finally got spark on both cylinders. Looking pretty good. Good consistent blue spark. So, that is awesome. So we can move on from spark and go right to compression. All right, let's see what we get on the first cylinder here. We're looking for over 120. It will probably still run on about 95 to 90 PSI, I'm guessing. Those rings could be a little bit stuck in there from sitting so long. But let's give it a shot. Let's see what we get. We're gonna do throttle open, if we can. Never mind, the slides are out of it. All right, here we go. We can't do throttle open, so let's hit the start button and see what we get. Right around 120. That is actually pretty good. I was expecting a lot less. Perfect. All right, cylinder number 2. What will we get? As long as we're pretty close to 120, we should be fine. All right, here we go. Again, not doing throttle open. Same as the other one, 120. We are perfect. So now we actually have a fighting chance at getting this thing to run. We have compression and we have spark. So all that's left is fuel. So the seller said that he messed up the carb somehow. So I'm wondering what he did to them. All right, looking at the slides. Let's see if those are going up and down. Yep. So slides look decent. We're just gonna clean those up a bit. Looks like maybe they were stuck in the carb. Let's get the left side carb out first. That should pull out now. And there's a bolt here for a clamp. And another clamp here. Get that pulled up. There we go. Look how tiny those carbs are. Those are really small. So these are the original Mikuni carbs, which is good. Alright, same thing with this one. This loosened up a bit. Alright, and another clamp here. Let's see if this one was working. Slide. So this one's missing the idle adjust here. We're gonna have to get that back in. Remember that rod that was on the seat? That goes into here, and as you spin that, it lifts that slide up to adjust the idle. So we kind of need that. Alright. Yeah, pretty gross. Let's see if there's any gas in there. Nothing. They're dry. Alright, let's start with the right side carb. We'll get the gas line off of here. Alright, gas line off. That is junk. Alright, let's open up this carb. I know it's going to be horrible. Unless the seller drained all the gas and fluid out of it before letting it sit. I doubt it. Alright. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh, it's not horrible. I can see some water droplets in there. So it was getting water to the carb. Check that out in there. Ooh. Pretty heavily rusted in there. In the bowl. See if the needle is working. Needle's stuck in there. Pin came out, that's good. Little brass float. I don't know if you'll need gas or anything trapped in there. So that looks good. Here's the needle that was stuck. It's coming, there we go. So it wasn't stuck too badly. There it is. A tiny needle. And there's the pilot and there's the main jet. So this one doesn't look horrible. That's packed full. Main jet is clogged on both ends. Looks like it's a 60 main. That is a tiny little main jet. It's like a pilot jet size. You can see all the gunk in there. Yeah, she's pretty gross. That was easy. Wonder what the pilot size is. It's gotta be tiny. Probably like a 20. 17.5 for the pilot. And that is definitely clogged. So both the main and the pilot were clogged. Here's a little air screw here. Doesn't turn in, there we go. About 1.5 turns out on the air screw. Sounds about right. Should have a little spring in there. Get the spring out. There we go. So everything's here for the carb. Doesn't feel like the choke is working here. Yeah, I think the choke is stuck. Yeah, we might let that sit in the ultrasonic cleaner and then try to get the choke off of there. Alright, let's take a look at the left side carb here. See if this one's just as bad as the other one. Ooh, that one's really bad. Yuck. Holy cow, what is that? Looks like sawdust. That's crazy. I think that pin's stuck in there though. Try to grab that out. A punch and just see if that'll pop it out of there. Ooh. That's not good. Did it break the whole thing? The whole thing kind of moved. That didn't budge anything. We might have to let that sit in the ultrasonic cleaner to free that up. That was not good. That didn't budge at all. Alright, we let this carb sit for about 10 minutes in the ultrasonic cleaner just to loosen some stuff up. Now the pin's coming out. There we go. So that pin was pretty stuck in there. Alright, there's the pin. Got the needle. Looks pretty clean now. We've got the float to clean those up. Alright, both carbs are out of the ultrasonic cleaner, looking good. Bowl's cleaned up pretty nicely. Got the chokes working. Nice and smooth there. That one was completely locked up, and then we got this one working too. So everything is clean. The carb here was actually corroded through right there. It came out right there, so we just patched that with some gasket maker for now. It's just like a little pinhole. So hopefully that holds. Alright, carbs are all back together, ready to go. We set the air screw to 1.5 turns on each air screw. And yeah, everything else is good to go. The only imperfection I saw was the little pinhole that was corroded through in the bowl. So as long as that doesn't leak, we should be good. Alright, went ahead and cleaned up the slide. Looking good. Let's get the carb back in. So cut out notch part goes towards the intake side of the carb. And this should line up with a notch there. Perfect. Alright, so this slide needs to be cleaned up a little bit. I'm taking 800 grit sandpaper. It's kind of lightly going over, just lightly going over the slide here. Takes off all that old gas that's really sticky. That makes those slides stick. Just going to go up through here, through the spring, and up through the hole where the adjuster is. Just like that. Now, we'll have to see if we can get that to go all the way up. There we go. See how it comes out like that? And then take a pin, and I'm just going to bend that pin so that it can't come back out. And we'll cut that off. And this piece goes right like that. Alright, slide is now working. Alright, carbs are all on, working good. So let's move on to cleaning out that gas tank. See how much rust comes out of this thing. Holy. I've never seen that before. Wow. Look at that. That's all rust that came out of that tank. That is a lot. There's more in there too. Alright, petcock. Let's see how bad that is. Oh, it's not horrible. Screen in there. I don't know if that's going to be able to come out. So it's missing the O-ring that was in there. Yeah, we're missing the O-ring completely. Alright, well, let's take off the whole petcock and see what's going on. Ooh. Yeah, not great. Yeah, she's a bit rough. Usually goes bad as well. And that's what causes these petcocks to leak. Yeah. So that rubber piece there, it doesn't seem too bad. It's pretty brittle, but we might be able to save that. See if we can soften that up a bit. Look how clogged these are. Yeah. Alright, petcock. Looking good. We got a new filter on there to filter all that rust out. Obviously this tank needs to sit for a long time to get all the rust out first, but this is just a temporary fix. We put new O-ring gaskets in here, and right in here. So everything should be sealed up. We can get this back on. Then we've got a new line for right here. Crossover tube. Alright, gas tank is on. Went ahead and put new gas lines and filters on. Looking good. So as long as that petcock doesn't leak, we should be fine. But we'll see. Now we have to work on this wiring. I have an old ignition for it. We're going to throw on. It's not the correct one for it, but I think it might work. Alright, so here is the ignition we're going to use. We've got red and black. So there's two positions on this key, just like the other ignition for this bike. So the first switch is going to be red to black. So we're going to have positive going in, and as soon as you hit that switch, it'll send it to black. So what we're going to do is hook up these to the red wire and the brown wire. So this will send positive from the red down to the brown. That'll be the first connection. So what we're going to do is get some connectors on here. Alright, so this connector is going to go to brown. And then we've got the red we're tapping into right here. That's going to go to the red on the switch. So we have to solder this connector. Heat gun on. Alright, now we've got the yellow hooked up to positive, and then the second key switch, it sends the yellow down to the blue. We've got that hooked up. The first key switch, we've got red coming in, black going out to the brown. So that's everything. So we are good to go. Alright, we've got power going to it. Let's see what happens here. Alright, we've got power up there. Let's see if it shuts it off. 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 Let's see about the second switch. Let's see if we're getting anything. Yep, we've got power, but no lights. So I really think that you need this thing running for the lights to work. Alright, let's get the plugs back in. We might have to go to the store and get a couple more plugs. Let's see if these are fouled out. Alright, that one's good. Alright, that one's good. Alright, right down here I believe is the oil pump. You can see the throttle cable coming down and the oil tank line coming down into here. So let's take that apart and see what that pump looks like. Oh, looks good. Looks really good. Alright, let's see if the throttle is working. Yep. Right here is the bleed screw. Let's crack that. Oil should pour out of here. I can see it coming. Yep, oil is pouring out, you can see. So it's definitely getting oil to the pump. So that should be working, and you can see the clear lines do have oil in them. You can see the green oil. Make sure that's tight. So we can get that cover back on. Most likely that pump will work. All right, we're gonna put some 40-to-1 mix in, a little Klotz oil, and we're gonna run that on 40-to-1 until we know that the pump works. Alright, looks like we've got gas flow now going to each filter. So we'll turn the choke on and we'll attempt to fire this thing up for the first time in probably 15 years. Who thinks it's gonna fire? Choke it. She fired up. Holy cow. That thing is smoky. I had to hold the throttle wide open to get that thing to go. And right now it's revving pretty high. Sounds like the oil's boiling. Oh man. But, got her to go. Look at all the oil that's spilling out. That's all oil. Alright, let's try this again. We've got a box here so oil doesn't spill out of the pipes. That crank seal might be toast on it. see if the headlight works. New. So lights are not working, unfortunately. Running pretty good though. Let's see if it moves. So I think on this bike there's two neutral positions, which is really confusing. So when I first started riding this thing, I was shifting into fourth gear, and that's why it was bogging so bad. But I finally found first gear, and then it picked up. But I think we're running on one cylinder. Let's check it out. That one's way hotter. Look at that, compared to that one. Still hot, but that one's a lot hotter. So I think this cylinder's running sometimes. That one's running all the time. Get the boot off. Maybe fold the plug too, I don't know. Cylinder. No doubt about that. We should have a lot more power than what we have right now. We're still getting spark. Alright, we got the new plug in. That didn't make a difference. So let's twist that off the pipe and see if the pipe is just plugged up. I think it is. There we go. You hear that? At high RPM, it stops sparking. So you can hear it coming out. It idles good, but as soon as you hit the throttle, it automatically stops sparking and doesn't run on that cylinder here. So that's why it sometimes runs, and that's why the cylinder is sometimes hot. That one's way hotter. Well, it looks like we're still having some sporadic running on the left side. So right now, it's idling pretty decent on that side, but as soon as you give it full throttle, it dies on that side, and it seems like it loses spark. So what we're gonna do is order up new points and condensers for it, install those. If that doesn't fix their problem, we're gonna order up the left side coil for it. It's gotta be either the points, coil, or condenser. So I'm thinking one of those things is causing no spark at high RPM, but we won't know until we order it up. So we're gonna have to wait for some parts and come back to this project. But I wanted to show you guys how much we have into this thing right now. The seller said that he took it into a local shop and they estimated right around 1,500 bucks, which I think they were pretty close. We have about 7 hours of work time into it. I'm gonna subtract 2 hours for the filming part of it. So we've got 5 really real hours of working into it, which 5 times 150, shops right now charge about 150 bucks. Somewhere right in that range. Some are more, some are less. That's 750 bucks for 5 hours of work. The points are gonna be 50 bucks, a coil 75 bucks, oil, gas lines, filters, and then maybe condensers will probably be right around 50 bucks. So that's a total of 925 bucks, and the bike still doesn't run right. So hopefully after all this stuff, we will have a good running bike, but we're already 925 bucks into it. So I don't think the shop was too far off on their estimate for how much this thing would cost to fix. You know, everything's really expensive right now. To a normal person that can't post videos, you know, I don't know if this bike was worth fixing. And I think that's why I got it for free. It's all making sense now. Yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video on the YL1 100. Picking this thing up for free, diagnosing it, getting it to start for the first time in 15 years, and taking it for the first ride. This one was definitely a challenge working on this one. It was pretty beat. But in the end, we got it to run. Now we just have to get it to run right. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video. And until next time, we are out.